Lots to talk about with our panel. Joining us, Business Desk Senior Reporter Dileepa Fonseka and Sarah Sparks from Sparks Consulting. Welcome back, team.
Morena.
Good to see you. Good morning. We just heard from the Prime Minister there about, a couple of issues. The Middle East obviously being a big one, and we will talk about that a little bit later on. But this idea that police might be wearing body cameras, to be clear, none of it is confirmed. It's the Commissioner's asking a staff member to look into it, basically, and they're going to spend a year doing that, so don't hold your breath. But what do you think, Dileepa? Do you think it's a good idea?
Well, I mean, like your guest before said, a lot of police forces are doing it around the world. But then again, it's not necessarily a game changer. It's reducing the number of complaints, I think, in some jurisdictions in terms of complaints against police. It's allowing people are less willing to complain once they know that they're recorded on kind of a body cam. It's reducing some levels of aggressive behaviour. But the costs of maintenance are expensive, like you said. It's not necessarily the cost of the cameras; it's actually the cost of the storage and things like you pointed out. I think in Australia when they ran a pilot on it a couple of years ago, I think it was 950 terabytes of storage a year or something, which is massive. And you're talking millions of dollars a year just in the storage costs for it. Has there been a proper cost-benefit analysis done on it? That I think would be my question around it. So I think that would perhaps be a good way for them to go. See if the costs actually see if the benefits do actually justify the costs.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's places, little counties in America where they're ditching them because of the cost of storing all of the data, Sarah. It's just too expensive.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking about the protocols around how they use and handle video. Because remember, it wasn't that long ago that we had the issue with rangatahi being photographed. So, there needs to be some protocols and principles around if they have this happening. And I think it's a good thing. It's great to be transparent and it will mean greater accountability. But there's also a piece of work here in terms of community voice because, Māori and Pasifika whānau haven't had a great time with the police. There's a lot of study. I was involved with Understanding Policing Delivery, UPD, the last couple of years, and there's great research that's been done and recommendations, and one of them was around tasers having cameras, and the current tasers don't, and then also, what are the protocols around that? So it's a good move, but it needs to be well considered and there needs to be some guardrails there.
Right, yeah. Because I guess they'd capture a whole lot of stuff, wouldn't they? I mean, even non-criminal activity, if they're just walking down the street, they're just filming everyone, and then that's OIA-able too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, the benefit of some of these schemes actually depends on how they're run as well. So police can sometimes choose when they turn it on and turn it off. So that can cause issues in terms of how valuable it is for complaints and things like that as well. So, there's a lot of, I think it's one thing for us to propose there's going to be cameras, but actually some of the consultation with the community is a good idea because it will also iron out some of those kinks.
It's a fundamental, and as well as an independent, ethical eye over it. So it's not just the police, so you need that independence as well.
Yeah. I suppose we've all really got body cameras, don't we, and with our phones?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, people.
What's the harm in them having it? I guess.
The people on the other side have cameras. As a people, the general public has cameras. So,
Yeah. Hey, what about the snails? Dileepa, do we kill the snails?
Well, actually,
the fridge.
Well, we actually, I think,
leave it open.
I think if you look back in the archives, I think this scheme for storing the snails in the fridge actually did kill some snails originally.
In Wellington. In Wellington, they did. They let the temperature go. Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually think that
Snails.
yeah, this is kind of the other side of it. I mean, if we say that mining. If we can say we can mitigate the environmental effects of mining, this is how we do it, right? If we say we can do this without affecting our biodiversity, then we kind of have to pay for the storage of snails or these issues. And I mean, I guess the rationale on the other side would be we're getting some of that money back in terms of royalties. In this case, the company went bust, so I don't know if that's affected the calculation at all, but that happens in mining too.
Yeah, that's solid energy. Apparently, actually, what we're paying is actually only a fraction of the true cost, And Solid Energy and now Bathurst is apparently chipping in for some of this as well. So that was part of the deal to begin with. Sarah, what do you think of it?
Well, they're a taonga, they're endangered, and I agree, it's cause and effect. If you come into a territory and you do your mining, there's going to be a consequence.
So you're all for saving them?
Absolutely.
Keep them on ice until, I mean, the thing, I guess it's like until when? Because they can only live, apparently it's only 10 hectares, this space.
Yeah, they've got a plan though in terms of reintroducing them back into the environment. So, it's not going to be an endless expense, but yeah, that's the price that you pay.
Okay, all right, fair enough. 21 after 8, we'll be back with our panel in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to Herald Now, 23 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we're joined for our panel this morning by Business Desk Senior Reporter Dileepa Fonseka and Sparks Consulting Founding Director Sarah Sparks. Welcome back, team. The Middle East, obviously, plus Ukraine, plus China, the US trade war. It feels like there's a lot going on at the moment, Dileepa. And like the world's a little bit crazy. Does it feel like that to you as well?
Yeah, I mean, take a look at the headlines, and that's definitely the case. I think what you're seeing here is the US is now no longer willing to provide global public goods like security, you don't really have any other player who's sort of stepping into that. China also isn't willing to do that without certain conditions. So you've now got this kind of unstable global order, or at least it's going to go that way, and it's getting that way progressively. I mean, to some extent, these sort of conflicts have always happened, right? Yes. I mean, conflicts in the Middle East are not necessarily new, but what has happened is we've had a kind of pullback of a major power like the US in terms of saying, hands off here, you guys do what you want. So that means that eventually we move towards a situation where there are fewer and fewer rules. And with fewer rules, then everything's on the table, and that's obviously has some implications for us as a small country as well.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is this time round, which is probably why Israel has decided to take the opportunity, is that Iran is a lot weaker. It doesn't have its regional proxies to help it out this time from Lebanon or otherwise. So Israel's just gone in there and thinking, right, we'll kind of make hay while the sun shines and try and get rid of these nuclear enrichment facilities. It's, fascinating, isn't it? The interesting thing, speaking of nuclear, reactive waste facilities, one in Palmerston North, and Michael Morrow's been doing a story on this morning. We spoke to a local resident. Sarah, what do you make about the fact that the Ministry of Health was involved here and that people weren't warned that this was going to be put next door?
I find it unbelievable, and I feel for Ahika, our rangatani whānau, and what's happened, because it rides roughshod over Te Tiriti. I'm very surprised from the Resource Management Act legislation it overrides. When you read into the story about the way that information wasn't disclosed, given it was like the biggest radioactive mass that was transported from Te Waipounamu there to New Plymouth, I find it mind-boggling. I'm not sure what the whānau can do in the rohe, but for that to happen, and also health. You look at the kaupapa health, it's about order and well-being, and yet this is the complete opposite. So it's completely and utterly out of integrity. What can you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that no one was told that it was coming, especially when they had issues at the Christchurch one before it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds extraordinary how, I struggle to understand how a national security exemption can apply for something like this.
I agree.
It sounds like they were just trying to avoid the kind of community uproar from this. I mean, I do think, things like this, we are using radioactive material all the time in our hospitals.
That's right.
So we do have to have some place to put this waste. These kind of facilities exist in countries all around the world, and they're not covered with the same level of scrutiny, secrecy. So,
exactly.
Why is it in this case?
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate you both coming on the show this morning. Great to have you on our panel, as always. Dileepa Fonseka, Sparks Consulting founder Sarah Sparks, Dileepa, of course, from Business Desk.